guys? Holding Hands with you here, bringing you Fairytail Final Season Anime Review. This was episode 304 or 27, depending on where you go to watch it. If you like Country or Funimation, then the title will be 304, but certain sites has it as 27. But it's titled Fairytail Zero, and there's a lot of interesting gems to talk about in this episode. The beginning, when Mavis leaves, she feels that the guild is different and no one's around, but it looks like the same guild hall that, Fairytail guild hall. Only problem is when she looks up and looks around the area, she finds Aerith sitting there, all, casual, with a drink next to him. So it was kind of funny, and she got freaked out, and she was like, "What are you doing here?" And he just smirks at her. And then we get to see all the other battlefields and the discussion, and we find out what's going on. And Zeref told Mavis what's going on, and basically, thanks to Irene's spell, that conversation spell, she basically made Fiora, the whole country, 1.5 smaller, or maybe even smaller than that. 1.5 is like the minimum, but we're not really sure about what number is in, but she made the country smaller. So Zeref's army and Fairytail can find each other more easier, so they can battle. So this war can hurry up and end. While at the same time moving their king piece up farther into the guild hall. Because right now in the guild hall is just Zeref and Maris, and they're there by themselves, talking casually. But we did get something also very interesting in seeing everyone's discussion and them freaking out. We get something very interesting with Natsu, and a lot of people overlooked this in both. I believe they did this in the manga and in the anime today. A lot of people overlooked this fact because they made a joke out of it. But when Natsu woke up from, him looking his direction and finding out that he's in a different direction from his surroundings, he's on top of Lucy, groping on her. And she's telling him to get off, and he was like, he just keeps talking to her, not listening to her, still groping her. And at this one point, he says, luckily, when it comes to August fire spell, or heat spell, I was able to negate it. But he got cut off short because Lucy kicked him. Because, she was on the floor and he was still on her, groping on her. So, and she got annoyed. After 2 or 3 minutes of him being there, she finally gets annoyed and she does that. But it's very interesting to know that Natsu, when they got hit with the spell, he was able to cancel it. So that would explain why Miss, Happy, Lucy, and Natsu himself, why all 4 of them was able to survive. Because he canceled the spell. So that's very interesting. That shows you that, Natsu developed a lot in power and techniques. Now besides having fire resistance and being able to eat fire, he also has the ability to cancel out other people's fire techniques or heat-based techniques. So that's very interesting. Another thing I want to talk about that's very interesting is that we meet a character named Zera. And I know a lot of people hate this in the manga, and they're like, this is a ass pull, this shouldn't have happened, this person should have died. And the person I'm talking about is Gajo. Last week he was supposed to die because that one dude sacrificed himself to bring Gajo into the graveyard site, into the underworld, so he can go to hell with them. Unfortunately, at the same time that was going on, Irene cast her word domination spell, which changed the territory, and he actually ended up getting lucky. So technically, Bloodman wasted that sacrificing technique to bring him with him for nothing. Because in the end, thanks to Irene's technique, it screwed him over. He wasn't able to bring him down. He was going to die, but... And I know a lot of people got really, really upset that, Gajo, after he has this sweet moment with, Levy, and they look like he's about to pass on, all of a sudden he comes back to life. But it makes sense when you think about it. At the same time, he was supposed to go to the underworld. Everyone's territory switched, and they switched territories as well, so it kind of makes sense depending on which side of the fence you're on. But I know, again, a lot of people in the manga got really, really upset, so I can only imagine those that are anime ONEs, how they're going to feel about this. But again, just to put some damage control in the situation, you got to remember it makes sense. Irene's spell was cast at the same time he cast his spell, and of course Irene being a greater, better magician, than that guy, Bloodman, it makes sense that her spell would take priorities, which should end up saving Gajiel instead of killing him. And it's also a good thing that he met Zara, because thanks to her, we get to... She basically told everybody in the guild what's going on, and she told them that Zara is right now with the Maris in the guild hall, and that she's in danger, and you need to go to save her. And she tells them where the guild hall is at from everyone's direction. So all they have to do is just follow that direction. And I believe the guild is still on the north side. So, and another thing, I know a lot of people probably don't remember Zara, because she was introduced in Fairytail Zero, which that season was like an off season. I mean, it was a canon season. It's basically, it was an OVA season about Maris past, and that's actually canon. For y'all who don't know, that are anime onis, that's actually canon. That's actually manga material. So Zara is part of the Fairytail Guild. As she stated in this episode, she's only an illusion of Maris. But since Maris came back, and she's not at fully power, and her power is kind of wonky right now, she came back to life as well. But once Maris remembers her, she's most likely going to disappear. That was stated by Zara herself. But as everybody continues to fight to go to the north to get to the guild hall, we have this one moment where we switch to Irene, and she's in the kingdom, and she's right in front of the king's throne room, and she's actually on the throne room, and the guards are trying to beat her down to get her off and arrest her, but she ends up beating everybody. And the king was like, "You can do whatever you want to me in my kingdom, just spare my daughter." And Irene looks at the king and she laughs, and she turns the princess into a mouse, a cute little green mouse. And she gave you like the sadistic face to the king. "Are you still gonna love your daughter, that pathetic little creature?" And he says, "Of course, this is still my daughter. Even though you changed her form, this is still my child who I love." And he picked up and hugged her and was crying. And she was crying as well, the princess who was a mouse. And Irene got like really, really upset and turned off. She wasn't really expecting the king to like still love his daughter. I think she was more like expecting, oh, you're gonna reject her now that she's a mouse, a lower creature than you. But I remember that this happened and that she got upset over this, because this is going to take a very, very important part later on. A lot of people in the manga got upset at something that's going to happen later on. But just remember this moment, guys, of Irene turning the daughter into the mouse. Just remember that. But while that goes on, she feels this weird power, magical power. So she goes outside and she enchants the sky with her eye. And now there's like a big eye of hers in the sky looking down. And in one of the towns that she was looking down in, she sees Ezra. And she was like, wait a minute, this girl with the scarlet hair, could she be? And then, of course, as always, we got cut off. And we got Zareth and Maris still talking, and he's like, "I'm happy that I got closer to you now. I don't know how you're alive, but I finally have Fairy Heart in front of me." And Maris is just giving him like this evil smirk. Like, not an evil smirk, but like an evil look, like, "Oh, it's you." But we know deep down inside these two love each other, so. But then we switch over to Mary Jane. And this is where things get kind of tricky and hard, because if you ever remember, Irene had two apprentices. One with long black hair and one with long blonde hair. Well, when Fairytail was moving up north back to the guild, these two girls attacked. So Mary Jane and them fought them off, and everyone was defeated except the two girls with the hair, who are the under commander of Irene. And Mary Jane told her sister, "Keep going with everybody else. I'm gonna meet up. I'm gonna have to take care of these two." And she's fighting them, and she realizes it's a little bit harder than she thought. And they mock her, and she's like, "You really thought you can beat us? We wasn't using our full power earlier. You always have to save your trump card for last." Mary Jane smirked, and she was like, "Yeah, you're right. We do have to save our trump card for last." And that's when she activated Alagija, I believe it's pronounced. I'm probably butchering it. But if you ever remember, is that flying demon ship that Turtles Arc their base was under? That's actually a Satan soul, and she took that over. So now she has two demons from that arc. She got the busty chick that she was fighting before, and she got this creature. And she was able to defeat both of these girls. But she ran out of magic, and when she turned around, she realized these two girls are fake. They're actually swords. And she's like, wow, there's actually somebody powerful enough to turn swords and put enchantments on them to give them personality and memories and magic. whoever did this is going to be a very, very terrifying opponent. Unfortunately, when she's stating this, and she's exhausted on the floor looking at the two swords, she doesn't realize that Irene is flying down slowly behind her. And that was basically the end of the episode. And I'm sad because Mary Jane, I'm not sure if y'all know this or not, but she's my favorite female character in Fairytail. And thanks to her being super exhausted, and especially the opponent that she's going up against, she's going to most likely catch a big L. And I also want to mention we got a new opening and ending song. And they were both fantastic. A lot of people give Fairytail smack, especially the anime. But the one thing with the Fairytail, what it does really, really good is its music, its opening and endings, and its visuals. And artwork and animation as well. But, yeah, that was the episode, guys. Really great episode. Episode 304/27, depending on where you go. Really great stuff. If you have not watched it, if you go watch it. If you watch it, go watch it again. Really great stuff. Worry about Mary Jane. Can't wait to see what Zara does and how she's going to be useful. Happy God Joe's back, even though I'm not sure how y'all feel. And comment down below how y'all feel about God Joe being alive and not being dead in his situation. And Zara. Do you like Fairytail Zero? And do you like Zara? Or do you guys hate her as well? I know a lot of people in the manga when this break took place. And even people with the anime onis. When Fairytail 2014 took a break and they had Fairytail Zero. I know a lot of people didn't really like it. So, I thought it was enjoyable. I liked it. It made more backstory for Maris, who is, the mother of the guild. Without her, there would be no Fairytail. We wouldn't have a Fairytail. So, we wouldn't have a story, technically. But that's what I have for you guys. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, share with your family and friends. Give this video a like. Tell me down below what you think about all this. About, Mary Jane's situation with Mary Jane versus Irene. What you think about Natsu being able to cancel heat/fire spells. Also tell me what you think about the princess and Irene, what happened between them, and why was she so upset when the king still loved his daughter. What's your theories on that? But that's all I have for you guys. Peace out and have a good one.